back in the day around like 2008, when like the internet was really taking off, there were a lot of like different freeware games. So one of like if you want to talk about some of like the biggest ones, you have like games like Cave Story, for example, which is another game we're gonna try to play. And what's the is it Yume Nikki? Yeah, that one where it's like a horror game. And a lot of these games were made in RPG Maker. It's a pretty old way of essentially like programming your game without like entirely learning how to program. It gives you a lot of like cheat codes and like easier ways and easier tools and a lot more explanations so that you can like get kickstarted on a game. So one of the biggest games that came out around that period of time was Off. It's a game by Mortis Ghost, and it's been kind of like a cult classic for a very long time. I hate saying off and then off-putting, but very specifically, like with the way that we typically look at RPGs, there's a lot more like glitz and glamour. There's a lot more heroics and like beauty to the worlds that they exist in. Like for example, if we talk about games like Final Fantasy VII, right? Like it's kind of ugly, but there's a beautiful world underneath it that they're fighting for and fighting to protect. And off, it's kind of like, I guess, the antithesis of that, the opposite. It's about essentially a world that is completely fucked, disgusting, and nasty. And your main character, who, by the way, is separate from you because you are the main character,
Mm-hmm.
basically goes on a quest to destroy the world and put an end to all of it through purification. Um, Very weird, kind of like interesting the terminology, and it feels like very good in a modern sense. I think this game has aged rather well for
Oh
like
yeah.
how old it is. Everything still
Mm-hmm.
feels extremely relevant. And it inspired a lot of like other like RPGs or JRPG inspired games. Of note, of course, is like Toby Fox's Undertale. So when we go back into this game, again, this the original game came out in 2008, but they decided to like finally remake it in 2025. I feel like a lot of people were very passionate about it. So with the remake being made, they did a lot of like graphical changes to like the battle UI. They added a bunch of new bosses, which were really fun. They changed up the soundtrack with a lot of the people who worked on the soundtrack being present for those like early computer like games, like making the music, and especially like Toby Fox coming back and like working on the soundtrack too. He gets a cameo very early on in the game as well, and it makes it a very very cool remake. Like it feels really good. But yeah, those are like a basic summary of the game, and I kind of want to like hand it off to like you guys to see what you think.
Yeah, so I one thing that popped in my head is an observation when you were talking is like talking about how you are separate as the player with the way that they narrate things, and also in general it's like there's a lot of just kind of meta like takes about games and game making in general, and like, quirks of RPG. Like you find the same merchant throughout, and there's like a specific joke I'm remembering where he's like, well, of course I'm here as the important merchant, and it's here,
Yeah.
like you gotta have the merchant if it's an
Yeah,
RPG. Like,
Zach pops up a lot.
yeah, like it's required. So those things I found interesting. Things that are always making like I like Scream, for example, because I
Yeah.
appreciate that it's doing its own thing while at the same time like making a commentary about the genre that it falls into in itself. So I think Off did the same thing, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
I I wish we had 2 more months to
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I like there's so much there with the world and with how it's written. As a game,
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
it. I loved it.
Yeah.
There's some genre conventions of the JRPG that just aren't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
don't like some of the looping at the
Yeah.
end with the queen. How if you want to do all the different endings, you have to fight her 3 times in like
Mm-hmm.
incredibly short
Yeah.
period of time.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I get
Yeah.
lost in that. Super a side thing.
Yeah.
But as a game, I fucking loved it. As a written piece, as like a narrative, I wish I had more time so
Mm-hmm.
badly because the things about the elements, the meat, the smoke, the plastic, the metal,
The first element, Emily.
meat, the first element.
Yeah.
No, the first element, plastic.
I was gonna try and segue us to off because of that discussion earlier.
And you know what? Fine. I was losing my
Yeah.
fucking mind.
Yeah.
It's so fun. The way it's written is so fun.
Yeah.
Like I have one interpretation of what I think is going on in the narrative. You guys, everybody, I feel like could have
We should
different
talk
interpretations.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is, which is super important to say, I don't think it fucking matters what's going on. I'm not someone's like,
Yeah.
I think the intention. I am very much the like, oh, anything. There's something called reader response theory, which is just each
Yeah.
reader is going to have a different interpretation. I subscribe to that a lot. So subjectivism in art. But at the same time, for a piece like this, most pieces, frankly, but a piece like this, I don't think it fucking matters what it means because it was so fun to engage with and to be in. I was having a fucking blast the whole time.